Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I'm your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with me today. She's a nail artist. Please welcome Danielle Wenger. Hello, Danielle. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
You're most welcome. So I want to go ahead and get started with this interview by asking where are you from and how did you get started in the nail industry?
I'm from technically Ostrander, Ohio, and that's about 45 minutes away from Columbus, Ohio, and that's where I live and work.
Cool. Now, how'd you get started having your own nail studio or nail salon?
Well, I was commission based for the first 2 years of my career. I was licensed in 2014. I was commissioned for 2 years and pretty quickly learned that I wanted to be an independent contractor. I really didn't have the confidence to think I could do it. I had a lot of encouragement from people in my life and started doing that and went into independent contracting in the third year of my career. At that point, not a lot of people in Columbus were doing work like I was doing. And so I sort of kind of got to hit the ground running and I took off. For being an independent contractor, I really just kind of started killing the game, making money for the first time in my life. I was just holy shit, this is so cool. And I had such a high demand and it just felt so good at something,
Right.
So I went into being an independent contractor and kind of went through all the trials and tribulations of that for the next 2 years. And then randomly, my best friend asked if she could start doing nails. And I'm like, yes, please. Because I've literally have nobody to talk to about this shit that I'm massively obsessed with.
Right.
So we decided to open up a nail salon and she ended up, she just went to nail school and literally her first client she ever worked on was at a salon that she opened with me. So kudos to her. That was very brave of her. And that the salon that we own together, it's a booth rent shop. No commission. We opened Fuzz 3 years ago, almost exactly. The name of the shop Fuzz.
Yeah. Wow. Really, really cool. Now, who are some of the nail artists that you were inspired by?
My number one first obsession, I literally I have no other words, but to say that I was probably was and still am obsessed with Spiffster. That's my top. That was the one that really got me thinking differently about nails. Even went as far as I made an appointment with her in Chicago. I drove there with an ex of mine. They were very supportive of me. And I had to get my fucking nails done by her. It was just this has to happen. And I was nerding out so bad. And I know I annoyed the shit out of her with all my questions. But so I would say Spiffster is my big one. That was the first one. And then there's lots of other people that I really admire in the field right now. I don't know if you want me to get into those, but Spiffster was my big one, my first one. So yeah,
it's really, really cool. Yeah, Spiffster, her stuff is really, really unique. I love her abstract graffiti style within her work.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really cool because that's something that attracted me to her work because it was so different from everybody else.
Literally. And it was what really drew me to it is the fact that you can just see when you look at it. I didn't even know her. I didn't know what it was like to watch her work before. And you just could see that whatever the heck she was doing on these nails, it was what was coming out from inside of her. And it was its own beautiful thing. I really felt like she was from outer space, that maybe in a past life she's from outer space or something, because I'm this is out of this planet. This is not real. Yeah, just so different.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. But also too, she's not only a nail artist, but she's a well-rounded artist. She has her own deco spiff, other nail, stuff and things like that. She has her own NFT where you can buy the NFT and you can have a nail service, I think. So she's venturing out to different things. So it's really, really cool.
Yep. Doing what's making her job sustainable and interesting to her, which is very important.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Another artist that I really like is Kanishier, because her work is really, really cool. Because
Very talented.
yeah, she's really, really talented. And she's very, very cool, very down to earth. And her stuff is very like earth tones, but she does like pops of color within her work and things like that. Her work is phenomenal.
Yes, God. I feel like we could have a literally like an hour-long session of just like talking about our favorite people.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Now, how can you describe like your nail art style? How would you describe it? Like how you like to design nail art and things like that?
I would say, like, if I'm being really honest with myself, every once in a while I like to do something that's sort of realistic, or cartoonish, but generally I err on the side of organic designs,
Mhm,
natural designs. I kind of started out doing a lot of like stone nails, like the
mhm,
first I was working independently. I was renting a small room. During that time, I started to learn and understand I really like doing stone nails and organic designs. Images inspired by nature, in particular, are very beautiful to me. That's
mhm.
always where my passion and my comfort is. But I'm always really happy to do different things. And I do kind of think that that's kind of a cool thing about my work is that I do quite a bit of different things.
Mhm. Yeah.
Graphic stuff. I love color palettes. Color theory is up there for me. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, what are some things that one should understand before owning like a physical space in terms of having like a nail salon?
um don't do it for the money. Don't do
Mhm,
it because if that's your goal, so if you walk into a business and you're like, I want to make money, and all you're thinking about is money, that means you're not thinking about all the other stuff, you
mhm,
know, the experience of the other people who work there, the energy in the space, and how people collaborate and spend a lot of time together. Um, yeah, it's more about that for me than making money. And I think a lot of times, business owners, salon owners want to get in there and they want to start making money on their employees. And I just don't, that's like not for me. I don't really, it's not that I'm not judging anybody who does that. It's just not for me. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, how important is like insurance in terms of owning a nail salon?
It's really important. If you own a nail salon, you absolutely have to have a certain level of insurance. And then we also require for anybody who signs a lease at Fuzz, in their lease, it states that they themselves have their own insurance as well. And that's generally not too expensive for us, in nails.
Mhm.
I want to say maybe $20 a month, as just an independent person. So yeah, but it's extremely important. I've never, knock on wood, never had anything happen. I've never had to submit a claim or anything like that, but you really just never know.
Yeah, most definitely. What are some ways, one can gain a clientele?
Mm. So I'm gonna look at what I wrote down because I don't want to mess this up because it is really important. So ways to gain a clientele. Pretty much the best advice I could give is every day you go to work, you do your best.
Mhm,
You have to know at the end of the day in your heart that you gave it your all. You gave your client the best attention you could. You gave their nails the most detail you possibly could. And allowing that you do that and you do that consistently every single time, you
mhm.
know, your clients are going to feel safe with you. They're going to feel comfortable with you and they're going to be able to trust you and they're going to rebook. So that's
Right.
another, you've got a client in your chair. And I had my first boss I ever had, my mentor. Um, she was like, every time you don't ask a client to rebook before they leave your chair, you're literally taking money away from your future self. So it feels awkward. It feels scary to be like, hey,
Mhm.
would you like to book your next service with me? It feels pushy, but really it's not. And that's a huge way of like gaining clientele is pre-booking. When you're building a clientele, you can even a $5 discount if you rebook today. You can do loyalty cards, like get 8 marks and then you get half off. I did that for the first year or two. And then you phase it out because you just can't sustain it anymore and all your clients are regulars. Instagram is really, really important. I don't think that my career would have taken off the way it did had Instagram not existed. Mm-hmm. And with that, pretty much you just have to post every day and interact with people. And yeah, and that would like gain you more clients. Oh, and then word of mouth is really, really important. And so that's where like going in and doing your best every day. That's going to be your bread and butter. Like, you know, you're going to do a good job and they're going to tell their friend or their coworker, and then that coworker might not get their nails done, but they're going to hear somebody else talking about needing a nail tech. And they're gonna be like, oh my God, my coworker goes this amazing person. She's going to take care of you. Blah, 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 blah. And so mouth honestly is really underrated, especially right now with the hype of social media. Word of mouth is everything, in my opinion. That's your reputation. So yeah. So don't underestimate word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Now, what would you recommend in terms of booking clients? Would you recommend someone to say like, hey, DM me to book, or would you rather have like a booking app like Booksy or StyleSeat? Like, which one would you prefer for those who are trying to gain a clientele?
So I've never tried Booksy, but I have tried StyleSeat. Didn't love it. I actually love Vagaro. I used it right out of nail school, and I tried different things and whatnot. And I just always come back to Vagaro. It is top notch in my opinion. And they are constantly making changes and bettering like their systems. So Vagaro is perfect. I think that when a person is building a clientele, it's extremely important for your online booking to be open, because I'll never forget the feeling of when I first started working for myself. And, you know, of course, the fear, and any nail tech would say this, is like, before you go independent, you are terrified that you're going to start paying $800 a month somewhere, and that magically nobody is going to book an appointment with you. And you're just going to sit there and twiddle your thumbs, you know? Mm-hmm. So that, you know, your fear. And I'm losing my train of thought, but gosh, so embarrassing. Like ADHD tangent. Okay, what was the question again?
It was the question, would you prefer, like, in terms of people gaining a clientele, in terms of booking clients?
Yes. So, yes. So I'll never forget the feeling of being scared and just whatever. And then you've got your online books open. People can book in the middle of the night, you know, whatever their heart desires. And you just wake up and magically people put themselves on your schedule and you're like, oh my God, you know? And so slowly that starts happening. And then as time goes on, you get better. It's harder for people to get in. And then it gets to the point in your career. And I think this is pretty consistent with a lot of people I know. It eventually gets to the point where you have to turn off your online booking because you're unable to take on any new regulars. Once you get to the point where your regulars can't get back in, that means you have to close your books, your online booking, and then you book by hand. There are downsides to booking by hand, which are a lot of manual labor, a lot of text messaging. Hey, I'm going on vacation. Can we please bump this out? And then because we do that, we have to bump out my next one. So it's a lot of work, but you get to know people and it's worth it. So online booking at first and then closing it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use Vagaro. I don't use a paper book or anything.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people use like a lot of online booking, you know, like StyleSeat and, you know, Booksy and things like that, you know, because that's like kind of like the go-to app, especially like how you said, Vagaro as well. And I definitely want to get into in terms of when doing nail art for clients, like, do they choose what they want or do they let you like freestyle?
In the beginning of my career, and I'm pretty well phased out of this, but I did a lot of things I didn't want to do in the beginning, but I always reframed it by looking at it like it was a learning opportunity. like, do I want to paint like stripes and an anchor in navy blue and white? Not really. But what did I get to learn in that process? I got to learn symmetry. I got to learn balance and all of that. And in that I learned. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff in the beginning, but now what I really like is not just like being given kind of free reins, but I like to customize the set based off of that client, like what I know, like what boundaries they like to push, which ones they don't. And within those parameters, usually you can kind of come up with like magic, you know? I really like an image, just a simple image. I don't want to copy nails, really. That's not fun for me anymore. Or a word. Like today, my last client of the day was like, I want fruit nails. I'm like, okay. So we just busted out some fruit nails. I don't know. So yeah, now I like to freestyle a lot more.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, in terms of dealing with clients, like how important is nail prep?
Oh my God. I literally cannot express enough how freaking important it is. It's like building a house. Like if you don't build a house on a good foundation, the house is going to crack. It's going to crumble. It's not going to last. And, you know, I like to get 4 weeks out of my sets. Like that's my standard. Some people are 3 weekers and, you know, you learn that. And some people are 5, 6 weekers, depends on the client. The sweet spot's 4 weeks. So if I'm trying to get to 4 weeks, which is a pretty good goal, you have to have a really solid foundation. And that means that you can't just be complacent. You know, your client comes back, and I've heard nail techs, you know, their client sits in their chair, they're like getting ready to do their nails, and then like 2 of their nails are busted off or something. And it's like the nail tech or whatever, they'd be like, oh, I don't know how that happened. Okay, whatever. Not trying to problem solve it, not trying to figure out what went wrong, how to make it better next time. Talk to the client, see if they have an opinion about what they think went wrong. So that's like really important. And all of that is part of prep. I don't do acetone soak-offs. I do gel overlays, and I am an hour for prep. So that's what we're working with. And that's actually pretty standard right now. I mean, do you follow Lauren Marshmallow in Vegas? Well, she does a lot of like really like nice, like solids, and she does gel overlays. And I think she's I could be wrong. Sorry, Lauren, if I'm wrong. I think she's like 2 hours for a solid color with an overlay, but that's like brush and cuticle work, stuff like that. So anyway, I could go on and on about prep. It's just absolutely so important.
Yeah, I could definitely agree, because many things can go wrong if you don't prep the nail properly. You know, if you don't enough, like, you know, if you have some like something wet on there, like some moisture on the nail bed, or, you know, poly gel or like gel or acrylic be on the skin. So there's many factors to happen if you don't prep the nail properly.
Yep. Or getting primer on the skin. I used to make that mistake.
Yeah.
Yep. Creates like a weak point. And that's like what's going to keep booking. Like, yeah, people like cool art, but if their sets aren't lasting, you know, that's not really a good investment for them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Nail prep takes time, and you want their nail art to last, their nails to last, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, not like 2, 3 days.
Yes. I would die if I were doing services like that and they were chipping so fast. I would probably quit. I would run and hide, because I'm like OCD, perfectionism, all of that is there. So
yeah, nail prep is really, really important. Now, what has been your experience going to nail school?
Nail school is a joke. It is a literal joke. I'm not saying that in a mean way if there are people who really liked it, but for me, it was a joke. They're teaching you methods that were put into these textbooks. The textbook is called Milady for some reason. That was so stupid. And they're teaching you techniques that have existed since the 80s. We're not in the 80s anymore. Nail technology and advancements have far surpassed anything from even 5 years ago, let alone 20 or actually 40 years ago, I guess is the 80s. So it's just like not even the same industry. So yeah, I remember in nail school, I had to learn how to do a silk wrap. I've never put a silk wrap on a person in my life, but I had to do it to pass my state board exam. I had to do acrylic in order to pass my state board exam. I do not offer acrylic services. Yeah, the first week is the only time you learn anything in nail school. It's like a crunch course. I don't know if cosmetology is the same way, but you sit down with all these people in this room and then you're like learning a bunch of information. And mostly what you're learning is, yes, how to perform a service, but it's extremely basic. Like they're like clip the nail, file the nail, push the cuticle back. If you drop something on the floor, that's dirty, so it's like sanitation. And then they're teaching you nail diseases that you will never, ever, ever need to know, probably peridigium and onychocolosis or something, like crazy things. It doesn't really teach you much at all. In fact, like sometimes I have like weird fantasies about wanting to actually like be able to somehow make money and like get paid to go into nail schools and do like a little 1-day presentation and be like, here's information on 3 different things, here's how to be an independent contractor. Here's how to deal with emotional labor in this industry. Nobody talks about that. Here's how to retain clients. So that's the stuff they should be teaching you, but the systems within state board regulations, they're extremely antiquated. Everything they're teaching you is old, doesn't matter. So I don't know. That I have strong feelings about like cosmetology schools and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that as well, because the thing is with, I took cosmetology courses in high school. So we were taught with the Milady standard cosmetology textbooks, and we had the writing books where we had to write and fill in the answers, and we had to study for the test. And the thing is like, like how you said, it doesn't teach you or get you up to speed with what's going on now. A lot of like new products and UV lamps and trends and, new things that are happening, especially with, education, nail courses, how to properly prep the nails, or, the whole thing with safety and sanitation, that's needed. But of course, other things like they don't go in depth about with acrylic or with gel, or like manicures and pedicures, different ways to, shorten time. That's the thing that, they don't really teach us. Like how you said, emotional labor too. Like, how do we handle that?
That's the huge, like, nobody could possibly prepare people for the shit that you have to endure if you are a service provider. Whether you're a hairstylist, a masseuse, a nail stylist, anything, people in America don't get touched. It's like honestly like a huge problem in our society is like the lack of neutral intimacy. So when people are in safe spaces and they're touched, it is like an emotional release for these people. And if you're fresh out of school, or you're an introvert, or you're neurodivergent in any capacity or whatever, you're not equipped to deal with things like that. People telling you traumas, extreme traumas, the first time they ever meet you. People crying in your chair and trying to have compassion for them, but knowing the right thing to say. Countless times I think on times where it's like, did I say the right thing when somebody told me about this thing that happened to them? Was I supposed to hug them? Like, I wish I was more prepared for this. And I feel like that's my biggest issue with nail schools and cosmetology school is they don't teach you at all about that. And then it also starts like affecting like your burnout. And, your job needs to be sustainable. And if you're not taught how to keep a balance with stuff like that, like you're going to burn out really quickly.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially, they don't teach you a lot of how to deal with people that are disabled. doing their nails, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. Now, the thing is, when I did cosmetology courses in high school, we did go to a nursing home and did, the elderly's nails and things like that. So I think that's something that I think State Board could touch on more, is how to deal with disabled people.
Yeah. Yes. And elderly people, like you're saying, because their tissue is completely different than, I would say, a 20-year-old's like tissue and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely those things could be improved within nail education. Now, what is your whole take in terms of pricing nail services, especially if somebody is doing, whether it's like acrylic gel, or just regular, like, nail prep? Like, what is your whole take in terms of like pricing nail services or press on nails also?
I really think that that hairstylist industry people, we all deserve the same respect that, tattoo artists, for example, are absolutely exploding right now. And rates are, $200 an hour, and these people, it is really hard for them to charge, like, hey, I did this tattoo for 6 hours, so here's your total. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. But at the same time, it does set the standard that, like, if you would like to receive this service, this is how much it's going to be. And people aren't going to try to get you to make it cheaper or tell you to your face that that's too expensive, So I think that us industry folks like need to have that same respect. And I believe, and everybody has a different opinion about this. This is me. I believe that an hourly rate is the most appropriate way for me to manage my business and understand that my time is valuable no matter what service I'm doing. It's equally valuable. Like, I remember I assessed my pricing years ago and I'm like, why am I making 61 cents a minute doing this service, but I'm making 92 cents a minute doing this service? Why is my time more valuable in this service versus this one? That doesn't make sense to me. So for me, I switched over to an hourly rate pretty much around the time we opened Fuzz. So about 3 years ago, I switched to an hourly rate, and that makes it a lot easier for me to assess my pricing. And then the rule of thumb is, when you start doing your pricing, for me, like, I looked at everywhere around me. I made a literal chart and I looked everywhere online except walk-in shops. And I wrote down what everybody was making in the city. And then I added them all together, divided it by average. And that was how I started my pricing when I opened up my doors as an independent contractor. And then your indication that it's time for you to get a raise, to give yourself a raise, because nobody's going to give you a raise unless you give it to yourself. None of your clients are going to be like, it's time to raise your prices. Like, you have to know to do that. And we have to do that in order to be able to continue doing our jobs. And the sign that it's time to raise your prices is when you have a wait list, or you're not taking new clients and you still have a high demand. As long as your books are full, your chair is full, things are getting harder to get people kind of rebooked, tight. You're starting to experience burnout. I follow a hairstylist. I love her content on Instagram. It's like, I forget, something simple like Hair by Jess. But she posted about, like, if you're having burnout, it's probably time to raise your prices. And that's so true. So you got to know when to do it, and how much is up to you,
Yeah, right. Exactly. And especially, it can be hard because you're trying to find that in between where you don't want to price too low or too high, especially like if people, who do press-ons, like, I do press-ons, but I'm also like a licensed cosmetologist, and my focus is in the nail sector. So the thing is, like how I say, you don't want to price too high, too low. And I see people who do press-ons will price for $15, $20. Like, no, if you've spent hours doing it, it should be at least 150 or up.
And this is where something that I think about a lot, and I actually just raised my prices less than a month ago. And my last price increase was 2 years before that. So I used to raise every year. So I skipped a year with COVID and all that stuff. But something I've been thinking a lot about is accessibility, financial accessibility to these luxury services, and how as service providers, we have to understand and process a lot of guilt and shame surrounding becoming inaccessible to people who you love, clients who you absolutely fucking love, and then they can't afford it. And it's hard. I have chills. It like makes me sad. You know, how are we going to be able to pay our bills and keep up with inflation and learning new skills and paying for product if we don't take care of ourselves financially?
Yeah, right, exactly. With any beauty service, you want to charge what you're worth, especially, I used to work in a spa, like, people are, spa therapists and things like that, or, massage therapists, I meant to say, are going to charge their worth in terms of massages. They're going to charge $100 and up. If you want a package, it's at least $100 or $200 and up.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Watching this video and you want help with your pricing, happy to help you. Just DM me and I will show you how I do the math. Like I do my charts and my math and all that. And it really helps me. And I've done it countless times for nail techs. So just message me.
Yeah. That'd be really, really cool. Now I want to get into in terms of nail products. So what has been like your favorite nail products to use in terms of doing like gel services?
So I discovered rubber base coats and that absolutely changed the game for me. The company Luminary used to be called like, it was when it was still very like Eastern European based company. And I think it was called like Nail Best or something. I can't remember, but I found their base coat and I started using it and I was like, man, this is really cool because this is like definitely getting into like more like technical stuff, but
right.
Not a hard gel. So it can be removed with acetone, but it has a thicker viscosity and it allows you to create a structural base, an aerodynamic base coat of gel that is a 2-in-1. So it's base coat plus a high viscosity product. And once I discovered the rubber base coats, like I just felt like I had found the product I was always looking for. I was trying to get those same results out of gelish structure gel. Runs into the sidewalls. It's not good, So rubber base coat changed the game for me. Obviously Japanese gels, like we have to literally take our fucking hats off to Asia and everything that they're doing, because all of this stuff that's happening is it's either we're copying Asia or we're copying Russia. So, or whatever. So like they have the best stuff, So Japanese potted gels for art, extreme opacity, very detailed lines you can get out of those products. They come in a little pot. They never separate like American gels, like OPI. Don't even buy it. IBD gelish, don't buy it. Anything that you could buy at a local supply store probably is not going to be what you need. You need Japanese stuff. So rubber base coat, Japanese potted gels, and I love jelly colors, like transparent colors. Just literally like give me a pile of that and some metallic stuff and I'm good. I could do it all day. Like gold leaf, gold chrome, transfer foil was my first love. Fucking love transfer foil. And there's now sticky gel that's super, super sticky and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I could totally agree. Like the metallics, the chrome, the gold.
We're living a dream right now.
Right, exactly.
Yarn. I saw your set that you put yarn in. That's so cool.
Thank you. And those are like press-on nails that I was doing. I was like, yo, let me experiment with yarn and see what I could do with this. Yeah, so like the thing is like with these products now it's pretty interesting. Like you have like how you said Japanese gels, Korean gels, you have all types of like cool like nail brushes and things like that. And I love with Korean gel products, I love their packaging. It's so
So,
colorful and it's so like adorable.
uh, yes. It's about the experience. Like,
Mhm.
is it, were we not allowed to enjoy our process as well? Like, of course we want to have beautiful little baby pink jars with like fucking gold filigree around the top. Like, why would we not want that?
Yeah, like it's really cool. And the Presto gels are pretty cool too. That's like a Japanese brand.
That was my first love. And I learned that by being obsessed with Spifster. I mean, literally, like I was obsessed. I would zoom in on videos if she went live. I'm like, what is on her table? Because nobody was talking about it back then.
Right.
In 2016, nobody was talking about that. And I'm like scouring the internet. I'm like, and then I found Presto and it was over. Game over.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was like, Presto, like these gels are like pretty cool. But also too, like I just discovered blooming gel.
Oh my God. I haven't, that's, I, it's so good. It's so good. The snake skin design. I
Mm.
could do.
Yeah, I just bought like a bottle of blooming gel because I see like these trends are like these marble, trends now, the blooming gel trends, people doing like the thick like chrome blobs and things like that.
Oh, yes, blooming gel. The one that I found was like a steal. There's this weird company called I Gel. It's just the letter I gel. And they're always like a 75% off sale. Always. So, but their blooming gel is bomb. Like I love it. And it was not expensive. It was probably like $4 or something.
Wow, that's really cool. Also, too, like 4D gel is really cool.
What 40?
4D.
Oh, the magnetic.
It's not magnetic, but it's like a 4D like sculpting gel. So it's like something that like in what'd you say?
Why they call it 4D versus 3D?
I have no single clue, but it's essentially it is 3D gel, but people call it 4D gel, or like in Russia they'll call it plasticine gel. So it's like a
Oh,
sculpting gel that you can use. It's like using like doing like 3D art.
yeah, like a modeling gel.
Yeah, like a modeling gel, like modeling clay.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, because like I first got into it when I was like looking at like kawaii. Like, I used to look at the kawaii nail art designs, like they do like the 3D art, like the Japanese 3D art. I'm like,
Little stickers and stuff.
yeah, it's like absolutely adorable. Now, I definitely want to ask you like about the nail industry, Danielle. So, what is your whole take in terms of nail industry, especially how it's colliding with like technology?
Yeah, a lot of it is sort of like I think the first word that came to me weirdly was disorienting because even sometimes for me, I get like tripped up and I'll be like, I'm not doing enough on social media. I'm not living my fullest potential. I'm not enough. I need to do better, blah, blah, blah. And my narrative is like constantly thinking I should be doing better and more.
Mm.
And then I have to like go like, ugh, and then I'm like, my chair is always full. I don't have a lack in demand. I'm fine. And that's okay. You're allowed to just be good at your job and not be obsessed with social media and not feeling like if you're not doing influencer work or whatever that you're not valid in your career, you know?
Hmm.
So, yeah, the industry is it's just like a little weird like that, but all the nail techs I work with, they're all on social media, but that's not their life. They don't have a huge identity in that. It's just like a fun tool for them. And I think that's really nice. Yeah. But
Hmm.
it's, it's insane. I don't even have words, honestly. I'm like, it has just exploded.
Hmm. Yeah, I could definitely agree. Like, like how we are talking about the products previously, but also to like the nail education. Like there's a lot more nail education and it's more online, but
Yeah.
also too as well. Like I like how we're slowly getting credited for our work, especially like, celebrities wearing our nail in the red carpet, fashion designers collaborating with nail artists. So that's really cool too.
Yeah, there is so much. It is just, the industry is just so much more highly skilled, truly highly skilled than people could ever imagine. I just truly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that, we as nail artists are getting more, not only more credit, but also understanding more of our worth and our value and pricing what we're worth.
Mm-hmm. And then we hold each other to those standards and support each other if we need to, that's really important. And you doing stuff like this, like that's really fucking important, we all have to be like, hey, you're doing a good job. And we all need to keep raising our prices and increasing standards and increasing awareness that this is a real job,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only that, but it's like an art, just like anything else, like with hair or with makeup and things like that. Like this is just as much of an art form as anything else. Nails is art. You're wearing art in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if there's no nail art, there's still an art to an application of a beautiful, solid color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's your take in terms of the U.S. economy and how it's affecting the nail industry?
So basically, this kind of brings up a little bit again how I mentioned accessibility. So basically, as the economy is doing what it's doing, and I don't know, where do you live again? I know it's in this time zone.
I live in Maryland.
So I don't know what the math is in Maryland, but I think there was recently some sort of study done, and they figured out, I think in Columbus, Ohio, a person has to make a minimum, and I think this is working a full-time job, 40 hours a week. A person has to make a minimum of $18 an hour to be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. And as anybody in Columbus, Ohio knows, I think minimum wage is still $9.75. So if that tells you anything, it tells you that people who are working entry-level jobs, who are the people who are like supporting our communities everywhere, stores, restaurants, anything like that, these people who are working full-time, asses off and can't even pay their bills are unable to afford these services because of inflation and not being paid properly. So it's really sad that the economy is affecting accessibility of services for people, because don't we all want to like treat ourselves, like, of course we all want that. So it just sucks. And it's like shitty, in my opinion, that like the economy is affecting things in that way. Of course, there's inflation with product increases, product costs, but I don't know, to me, that wasn't like the first thing that kind of came up for me with the economy.
Yeah,
what about you about that?
With the whole economy, in my perspective, like there's so much stuff going on, like, prices are going up in terms of gas, food and stuff like that. It's just really crazy.
Yes. Like I spent $200 on my groceries the other day. I use Instacart though, because I have like introvert problems. So, but yeah, I mean, groceries that used to cost me $100 are now $200, and I don't even buy a lot of meat or anything. So
now, in terms of being a nail tech, like what brings you like the most joy being a nail tech?
I think it's like changed over time. At first, I was really hooked on like being really excited about working for myself. Like I have worked for countless terrible bosses. I would happily name them one day if anybody wanted me to, but it's not important. But so many people who didn't know how to lead other people, take care of other people, do things in the right way. Like, so I was just so stoked to work for myself. Like that was my biggest excitement. And then after that, it was kind of just like, holy shit, I get to be an artist. I get to actually be an artist and make money. And I don't have to do other stuff because I used to clean houses, and that was always like a way for me to pad my income. And so at some point I was like, I don't have to clean houses. Like, this is cool. I'm an artist. I get to do this. And now, like, now that I've acclimated to those things and having gratitude toward those things, I'm kind of phasing into this weird, like sentimental phase. If I don't know another way to say it, I'm feeling extremely sentimental with my clients. And now that I'm working in a space where I'm sharing space with other people, I'm getting to experience that closeness with other people's clients and hear about their lives. And so it's this weird, like, beautiful reciprocity of shared time and vulnerability with somebody ordinarily maybe you would have never met or never thought you'd ever be friends with, or you never thought that they would like you, and you never thought they never thought you would like them or whatever. So it's like, but like magically you've created this like relationship, and suddenly you kind of come to and you're like, oh my God, dude, we've been doing this for like 5 or 6 or 7 years. Like, how have I been holding hands with you for 6 years? You just see people through thick and thin. You meet them when they're single. You see them get married. You see them have a kid. You see them get divorced. Like, you're like, how? And then they see you go through all your shit. And my clients have held down the fort for me because I've been going through a lot of shit for a long time. So, it's just like a beautiful relationship, I guess. That's my favorite thing right now about nails.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people support you?
I'm just on Instagram. Eventually I would like to maybe do TikTok or YouTube, but for now I'm just doing Instagram. I overshare in my stories a lot if that's something somebody's interested in, watching some cringy content or some cool content or mental health stuff. I'm always here for that. And a way that people could support me is I would really like to do more consultation work with nail techs. I would really like to talk to people either FaceTime or in real life and either help them troubleshoot physical things, like nail related stuff, like tangible stuff, or mental types of things. I'd really like to be doing a lot more consultations and just talking to people, giving them any help that they need in particular, not having a curriculum, just like, hey, what do you want? You want to pay me for 30 minutes? I'll tell you as much as I know in 30 minutes or whatever, So that way would be really great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for jumping onto the show. This is really, really fun. Your work is really, really great. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Wow. That was cool.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care and stay beautiful.